In this lesson, we're going to explore the process of how to create a displacement map. Now, displacement maps are very powerful inside of RenderMan for Maya, and I want to show you the process of how to hook one up that we created out of Zbrush. So this is one of our little characters that we teach you how to build in one of our Zbrush courses. And what I've got on here is just a basic texture that has been baked down on all of the objects. Now, we've got some specularity issues that are, things are pretty bright, so we'll have to deal with those. But let's just take a look at this object right here. The body is what we're really concerned with. I'm going to take a quick render of this to show you what this looks like. All right, and this is what we end up with. So we've got pretty much a polygon object here. We've got a little bit of shadow data that's baked in, but not really any of our displacement data. I've got some sculpting in here that we want to pull out. So let's take a look at setting this up. The process is very similar to doing just a regular setup with a displacement map, except we have a couple of things that we're going to want to address. So in the ramp shading group here, I'm going to double click to open up the attribute editor. And on the shading group, we're going to add a displacement material. Okay, this is going to automatically, I'm going to click File. It'll automatically load up a bump node and a displacement node. So I have two of these here. So I don't really need the bump node, so I'm just going to delete that. And under File, I'm just rename this displacement map. I'm going to go over here where it says image name, and let's load this image in. The image is going to be the squid displace. Okay. And it's a pretty big file. Let's just double check. Oh, got the wrong one there. There we go. This is a 32-bit image, so there's a lot of data tucked away in this. I'm not going to change anything else. I'm just going to hit render. I want to show you what you get by default. So here's what you get by default. Now this is probably not what you signed up for. I certainly didn't. But what's happening is because this is a 32-bit image, if we open up the color balance, this 1 to 0 alpha gain and offset are really high for this. This is using the world space, and as you can tell looking at my grid, my object isn't very big. And so what's happening is I've got all this data, and so it's pushing it out quite a bit. So I'm going to drop this all the way down to 0.1. Okay, so we're just going to use a tenth of the data. And anytime that you're working with ZBrush, you want to, whatever this number is, you want to make this number half of that, and you want to make it negative. Okay, so that resets the black point. All right, so now that we've got that done, let's re-render. Oh, actually, I got this set. We need to actually make this half, not 5 times, 0.05. There we go. All right, let's re-render this. Okay, we got some images coming back here. So let's take a look at what we have. There is one little challenge here that I think we need to address, and that is the fact that these suckers are being pushed in, and they should be actually pushed out. So I want to address that next. So a lot of times when you're working with different types of materials and file nodes, you could use a reverse, but since this is a 32-bit image, we're going to cause a lot of heartache for Maya. What we want to do instead is manage this on our own. So if we know we want to reverse or inverse the data in this file, I'm just going to make the alpha gain negative, and then I'll make the alpha offset positive. So we've got our setting of our bounds correctly. We've got -1 to 0, 0.05. That's good. We just changed the positive and negative values here. So let's re-render this. Okay, and now we're starting to get somewhere. You can tell here that all of the little suckers on here are pushed out correctly, and everything is moving the way it should. So let's take a look at before and after. You can see all that detail pushes right through. You can also notice that before it took 39 seconds to render, and after it took 39 seconds to render. So, you know, definitely set these up, optimize it, and use them. Now, there is one issue here. I'm going to go ahead and save this. The suckers are very soft. Okay, it's almost like everything got blurred. Well, everything is getting blurred. If we look at the top here, there is a filter type. Let's go ahead and set that to off. And this is telling the system, do not apply any filtering or any blurring to this image. Let me re-render this and show you the difference. All right, we see all this coming through now, and you can tell these are nice and crisp. Remember, my shading rate for the entire file is still set to 5, so as I crank that number down, this is going to get much more detailed in the final render. So again, that's a quick look at setting up displacements. If you have displacements that are pushed out really, really far, there is one option available to control any type of clipping that you may have. All you have to do is go into the displacement shader node, go to Attributes or RenderMan, and add displacement attributes. So if you do that, you have an opportunity here to add a bound, and by increasing this number, it just tells RenderMan for Maya that you want to calculate the displacement a little bit further than where the geometry is currently going, and that way you avoid any clipping. Try not to make this number any bigger than you have to. It'll really start to take down render time. So just a little tip for you there.